Hello, everyone, and welcome to Six Figure Souls Doing Good and Making Money. This is a special season 5 where I'm highlighting my co authors of our collaborative book project, The Ultimate Guide to Creating Your Soul Aligned Business 25 Practical Strategies from the Experts. I am your host, Camille Miller, lead author for the book and pioneer of the soul professional movement. Today, we have Nicole Parker with us, and she has written chapter 19. Wait, where to go? Sorry.
Rewild and reset.
Rewild and reset. Thank you. 3 minutes to reach your heart head coherence. And I love this. Thank you, Nicole, for being with us today.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
So, Nicole, I just want to talk briefly about what you do in the world, because you are a business strategist. We'll talk about your chapter a little bit. And you call yourself a soul activator as well. So you bring those two worlds together. I guess as you coach. So you want to tell us a little bit about what you do?
Yeah, it's actually still all evolving. I've always had my business side and my spiritual side kind of separate. So I've been doing marketing and sales consulting, growth consulting, HubSpot data. And then on this side, I would do, breathwork coaching, and I taught yoga and spin and fitness. And I just kind of realized at one point, why don't I bring these together? Like, why do I have to have this kind of almost like draining, like go to my day job, then my night job, and like separate groups of friends and things feeling unaligned? So I'm trying to start kind of working with more aligned clients day by day in my business, working with people where I support their mission, I support the product. It's not just revenue focused, and it's more like doing some good in the world, aligned interests and things like that. And then I'm also trying to bring a kind of new entrepreneurial business coaching stuff to light, where I can help people who have dreams about like making the world a better place or saving animals, or, I want to work with people who are like getting out of domestic violence situations and like helping them start nonprofits and start businesses. So all of that's kind of still in the works too.
Beautiful work.
Yeah.
So this was your first time being an author.
It was. Yeah.
How was the experience for you? Like, why did you decide now was the time to tell your story?
It was so hard. It was harder than I ever thought. I had always fantasized about writing a book. And so I thought, well, contributing a chapter could like really just like give me a taste and some lessons, and I could learn from you and like learn the process. And super glad I did it. It was definitely harder than I imagined. All I had really done before was like blogs and, ghost writing. And I always felt like I like to express myself in the written word, and like people would say, wow, that was a beautiful post you put somewhere, like on LinkedIn, or, I had these little like affirmational sayings I would read in my yoga classes, and they'd say, your words inspired me. But when I had to write it all down with like a word limit and like with all the notes and dialogue, it was definitely a learning experience.
So there's some things in your chapter, and I want to say your chapter is very inspiring. For all of those who haven't written yet, I absolutely, of course, I recommend the book, but your chapter is very, very inspiring. And you really just kind of spoke about your journey to dovetailing these two worlds and then starting to help others. So one of the things I love that you wrote in here, you said, I would still check all the spiritual boxes as this was happening, but compartmentalize rather than integrate the lessons and insights. And that was really about keeping your worlds very separate. And I think a lot of us do this. I mean, that's the whole part of like what I run in the soul professional movement, is the integration of these two worlds, that you can be both. A super mom, a professional, and a real spiritual being. And I think it's when you tap into that spiritual side, that's what pushes you forward. That's what helps level you up.
100%. And like being honest with yourself. Like, I think I had this kind of, if I'm really honest, like ego driven thing almost, where it was like, I do really good at work. And also like I go to yoga and I meditate and I do this and I do breath work every morning. I do my ice baths and my sauna, and I give advice to my friends, and I volunteer with the animals. And so people were like, you have it together. You're really spiritual. But I really wasn't. Like, I dissected everything. I stressed on everything. I internalized everything. I was critical on myself and others. Like I would preach to somebody and then not, apply that lesson to myself. So I think I had like a really big aha moment that shook me up when I went to UPW conference with Tony Robbins last year, and like he said something in a way that finally just like clicked. I was like, I've been an addict to all these spiritual things, like more will make me better, but like really I just have to slow down and like hear what I'm like listening to instead of just intellectualizing everything.
Right. And just be in that moment. That's a
Mhm.
great way of saying it.
Yeah.
Consuming more of it doesn't make
Yep.
it doesn't
Exactly. It doesn't make it deep. No, I thought it would. I'm like, I'll add another thing. I'm still feeling anxious. I'll add another thing. Like just
yeah.
last year, I was like, I'll get certified in transcendental meditation. Another thing. I got to slow down. And no, what I really needed to do was like just stop writing it. I would take notes. I would take these courses and everything. I was like, this would be good in my coaching. This would be good in my class. I'm gonna write this down. That's a great quote. That's a great quote. And so like it was all about capturing it rather than just like feeling it in my soul, I think.
Yeah. That's a great way. So another sentence that I underlined in your chapter said, I didn't need a recharge. I needed a reset.
Yeah.
It was time to stop trying, thinking, and controlling and learn instead to surrender, relax, and breathe.
Yeah.
That was all of our lessons in a nutshell.
That's
Right?
everything. And that's what I'm kind of dealing with now too. And it's like you can't think your way out of problems. You can't think your way out of anger. And you can't just
Yeah.
like I have this really strong like will to do things sometimes. I'm like, if I'm spiritual enough, if I heal enough, if I work at it enough, if I get the right coach, right therapist, I'll fix it and it will be how I want. But like it's just not how the world works. And I think
Yeah.
it's still a lesson that I'll have to continually keep practicing is like surrender, be okay with things, see people for who they are, see situations for what they are. Don't take everybody's problems as a burden onto yourself. Don't try to fix everyone and just kind of like let things unfold as they should.
A beautiful lesson. Yeah. One of the words you used here is the undo modern conditioning.
Yeah.
And I love that, to become a more holistic way of being. But I think we all have this, at least my generation, we were brought up in this egocentric world of doing business, right? It was about the stuff,
Yep.
right? It was so driven on how many hours are you working or who are you
Yep.
turning over. It was number based, it was stuff based, it was push, 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 work harder, 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 harder.
Yep.
And I think that comes from your ego, but when you start to
Yep.
listen to your soul, right? I say it's like the divine masculine, divine
Yep.
feminine, and it takes both, I should say, right? You have to
Mm-hmm.
dovetail both of it to be whole.
Yep.
But a lot of times we do
So true.
extreme one and then we try to balance it with a little bit of the other,
Yep.
right? And it's not enough. Like even if it's
Yep.
70-30, or which it probably isn't, right?
Yeah.
That it's probably more like 80-20. But we're too far in the divine masculine and we need to really balance with this divine feminine, all of
Yep.
us,
Yep.
right? To allow it to flow, allow
Yeah.
the abundance, just
100%.
allow.
And
Yeah,
allow the different people to have different opinions. And I mean, I think it's like worked its way into school systems and like
absolutely.
every inch of our culture. It's like everybody should have a good job and a white picket fence and 2 dogs and a mom and a dad and this and that. And it's like, I have an unconventional family and like I see the pain that causes to my son at school. It's like, how come I don't have that like that everyone else has? And well, because some people are just different. And I see it from my mentors when I'm like, I need to take some days off, or I want to do something that changes the world instead of just makes money. And well, that's dreamland, that's fantasy. You got to make money in this world to survive. But like, do we really? Like, is there a better way to do things? Is there a different way to do things? I think that like I definitely accepted the stories too much, like, and internalized them. And I'm definitely looking to kind of reset all of that and find a new way
Yeah,
of being more organically.
I love that. But I want to say that you can still build wealth.
Yeah,
You can
totally.
still make money. So I think it's really important for people to hear that it's not about not making money. That doesn't
Yeah.
make you more spiritual.
More
But
in
you
just an
can,
aligned way that's like
right,
doing what you love.
right.
Yep.
And I'm a big believer that when you're in alignment and your passion drives you to make that money, You wake up every day wanting to do it. You're not procrastinating. You're not saying, oh my God, I have to work. It's Monday. Like you're leaping forward because you're excited. You're doing the work that is aligned with your soul, that you're loving. It's in your passion. And because of that, you start to build the wealth and the business and everything. And with that wealth is how you impact the world.
I love that. It's a really good way to put it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think when you're like doing the right work, it does do that. I still have a hard time like measuring and balancing like, the marketing and the business side. For me, it's like, because some days I feel inspired and some days I feel like I've been in workflows and data for hours and hours and I just want to be outside. And so I think it's about finding that balance that works. That's like the right amount of things that like you love and you're good at and you're making an impact. And
I always say when I have days where say the numbers aren't working or I feel very stressed or I'm worried about paying my bills, I don't work harder. I actually work less. I actually decide usually not to work that day.
That's smart.
Yeah. And
kind
I
of
go
roll
out
with your inspiration.
I take the right, because otherwise I'm going to do stuff, stay busy, but I'm not actually moving anything. I find when I remove myself from the situation, for me, it's to be in nature. Or I go down to the beach or I take a walk or a hike. If it's snowing, I love to shovel snow.
That's so cute.
Because that removes that stress from me.
Right.
And I get to and I get to rethink it. Maybe a new idea will come to me. That's why ideas come in the shower, right? Because you've removed yourself from the situation. Usually a way better approach.
Well, and I think that like communities like yours are so important too, because I know within my circle, I've definitely noticed like we're all having a harder time as a human race, I think, since the pandemic, just because we're so isolated. Like, I have a few friends who are like creators and like they're doing what they love. They're spiritual coaches, but they're like, sometimes I just don't feel like making the content because I'm just alone in my house and I miss like people and inspiration and water cooler talk and
but that's what we're about.
I know.
That's what we're about. That's our community. And it's really about belongingness. It's about talking. After this, we have what we call mind, body, spirit. And we take an hour.
I love that.
We just take an hour and do some self-care, some self-healing all together.
We're
all taking a break in our professional day to do it together. And we're doing it on Zoom and we're all over the world. But that part's important. I always tell people, if it's important, schedule it. Be with us and start to have that time, because that's how you learn. It's just a different way to call ourselves professional, but it's the inner work that creates the outer success.
That is a quote to live by.
All right, Nicole, were you able to read some other chapters, or what was your overall thoughts of the book?
It was just a magic filled book. I mean, I feel honored to have been able to like work with everybody who was involved. The journeys that everybody's been through, the tips they shared, the raw, authentic stories, like the things people have overcome, the way I saw myself in like each and every single one of them. Like, it's definitely one of those books I will keep close to my heart forever and read again every time I need a little bit of inspiration, because it does just kind of like, when I'm isolated or when anyone's going through a hard time or when anyone's feeling discouraged, like it just kind of reminds you like we are in it together. We can do hard things. We can do like amazing things. We can get paid for doing what we love. We can overcome barriers, like, and we're in it together. And I don't know how you pulled together such a magical group of women.
Thank you.
You really did.
I want to show the book one more time. It's called The Ultimate Guide to Creating Your Soul Aligned Business, 25 Practical Strategies from the Expert. Of course, I love the book, right? And I think it's such a great workbook, regardless of where you are in your business. I think there is a story here for everyone. I don't care if you're just starting out or you're trying to break through that $1 million barrier or whatever it is for you, that this book has a strategy and a story. There are 25 different stories of how we created our businesses and how we got to where we wanted to be. So it is available on Amazon. I definitely recommend picking it up. Nicole, I want to thank you for being with us today.
Thank you, Camille.
All right.
So
Thank
great.
you everyone for joining us today. For more information about the Soul Professional movement, go to soulprofessional.com. This podcast is sponsored by the Natural Life Business Partnership, a global professional organization and business incubator for the soul-aligned professional. If you live in a higher vibration, have an alternative approach to business, and want to help repair the world, join us for our next meet and greet. You can look for the date on soulprofessional.com. Bye, everyone.